He was 100%. I am not used to seeing him like that. And he was just like, you were done. 100%
I
done.
was a zombie.
You were a zombie. Why were you a zombie?
No, it's insomnia. I was falling asleep. It was embarrassing. I wanted to turn off my camera, but I didn't want to be
No,
that.
no, you were fine. Honestly, nobody even noticed until you said something. And then I felt really bad for you that you were you were so tired.
Good, because I'd rather get out in front of it than have somebody notice and think I
I
was bored,
know. I
right?
know. You done good though. How was everybody's weekend?
Restful. I'm trying to get my camera to work, so please excuse me.
You're fine. And Stacy did not have COVID.
Yay.
Maya.
It was
Yay.
inconclusive.
Inconclusive whether it was COVID or not. She feels horrible. She sounds better than she feels, I'm sure. And then we've got a couple of things that we want to tidy up from last week, but I'm gonna just do a round robin, make sure everybody is hi. That is everybody's joining and full of vim, vigor, and vitality, and we're set to go. Because today is getting on track with calendars. I'm going to revisit. I actually found, because I was thinking I'm still working on how to get a calendar for you guys so that you can just import it into your Outlook. And it's a little harder than I thought it would be. So I figured I would go old school, and I found this printable, and it is just like being at school. So I'll share that link with you guys. And literally what we're going to do is we're just going to go through our day, print it out. Everybody has access to a printer. Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Print it out and block time in no more than an hour and a half increment, and give yourself like 15 minutes of buffer, 10 minutes if you have to, so that you can accomplish set goals, so that we can really work on prioritization for this week, because this week is all about setting the goals and being intentional for Q4. So does anybody have questions, comments, concerns around that? Or are you still just kind of getting off of this weekend?
It's a Monday. It's all I can say.
Is it being a Monday?
Yeah, my Mondays have been not fun lately, but it'll get better.
Oh no. Okay. So what? Well,
nothing terrible. It just
I won't
stuff.
go into it too much with you, but you do owe me a meeting. So
okay.
That one needs to get scheduled. Stacy is on the call. I am actually going to let her go and schedule that one with you, so that it can be on the calendar, not on a Monday, so that you can make sure that you are good to go.
Okay. Are you talking about right now?
No, not right now.
We
but
could,
we
could stay on after the meeting real quick and make the input and schedule it.
That works.
Thank you.
Okay, so today, guys, how did last week go? I want to get a feedback from Brian, Pam, and Lewis, because we have some more people coming on shortly here, and we're going to have more people joining the group. But I want to make sure that last week you guys got a lot out of the conversation. You guys understood from a pipeline perspective and from goal setting, so that we can move right into goal setting and booking some meetings this week. Or are we still struggling with the prioritization?
We're doing good with our prioritization and goal setting. It's just, getting the people to cross the line. We're feeling still kind of stuck with a number of people. Everyone's busy right now, and but yeah, just we know that the clock is ticking before November.
Yeah, and then did Sierra and you get a chance to link up after the meeting last Thursday?
We just actually finished a meeting just this morning, so we've talked several times. So I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to, but yeah, we've had several meetings already.
We were talking about specifically how to manage the forecast in the pipeline, and what we wanted to do from a who owns what, so that we can have a level of accountability.
Yeah, we were just talking about that we all should have our own separate ones, because we have a master one. I think we have too many. We're starting to have too many, but I think it might be good, at least for right now. So we have the master one, and then we're going to separate that one into like 4. So we all kind of take ownership. We have names on them, but really taking ownership of them. But we actually have a fair amount in them. So it's really just taking time. We actually decided to block some time tomorrow and just do it, block some time and each go through each account to make sure we are all taking ownership of them, each one of us.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's good.
Yay.
So thank you. Thank
Yay,
you.
yay, yay. Okay, awesome. That's what I wanted to hear. Perfect. So Brian, I see that you're on. Are you on with sound, or are you just on?
Yes, I am. I'm sorry. I just got off a meeting and I'm typing up my notes for the meeting, Alex. So give me 5 minutes.
I'll let
just so-
you do that and I'll
Well, it's
swing
fresh
over
in
to
my mind. I'm
Lewis.
sorry, but I didn't want to miss your meeting. So give me 5
No,
minutes.
listen, sales meetings take precedence. I get it. I'm happy you're here. So Lewis, what about you from last week? Because I know that you kind of hit a little bit of a wall of, it's not just prioritization from pipeline, but it's really top of funnel, because I committed to you last week that we were going to focus on setting goals and then talking about how to book the next meetings and how to do some cold calling and how to really inflate the pipeline a little bit this week, right?
Right. So
So
I consider it doable.
it is doable. It is 100% doable, but I know that you were a little frustrated, but I also think you were tired last week too. So I want to make sure that you're good.
No, I'm good. This morning kind of got away from me, and I'm being pulled in a lot of unproductive directions that do need to be attended to, but it's kind of like my old IT world of, home users who need to replace Drobos because they went out of business, and getting on a three-way call to make that happen. And it's like, oh my God, why am I doing this stuff? And then, like, so the calendar prioritization, I think it's going to help. Your email response to me was very helpful, which I'll respond to you by email for that. I'm still kind of like, I have loose operational ends, right?
Yep.
Like my contracts that, I've got Scott and Scott, with contracts as a service, it's a beautiful thing, but I got homework I got to do on that and just get it done. I know I've been bitching about that for 2 months. So I just need to get that done, and also realize that, like, it's not stopping me, right? I can keep moving, and maybe I need to pull somebody in to kind of help me with some of that. So and maybe I need a knock. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and we can talk about the operational stuff separately, because for now we just really want to focus in on how to move through into revenue generation. But obviously, if you can't do the operational stuff, you can have 1,000,000 bajillion leads. That's an absolutely real number, by the way. You could have all these leads coming in, and it's not going to do you any good, because if you close them, oh shoot, now what do you do, right? So
Exactly.
we definitely need to address that. But I don't want you to have what is it? It's paralysis by analysis. And that can happen. Sometimes it doesn't have to be perfect. It's got to be good enough to get it out there, so that we can move things through and sort it out, right? The best part of being a consultant and offering services is that you are agile, that you can figure it out for people, and that you can be of service. Once you stop being of service, then that's a whole different conversation. And what value do you bring? But just because you don't have all the answers right away, hey, there he is. Just because you don't have all the answers right away doesn't mean you don't have answers for them, and it doesn't mean that you don't have a path forward for them. For example, perfect example, we had a consultant that was working with us, very, very good friend of mine. Lewis, you actually met her. She is still a part of the organization, but she was coming in as a little bit more of a higher level. The problem that she had was that, and it wasn't a problem that I perceived. It was a challenge that she had with herself.
Mhm.
She is not comfortable not knowing the answer and not knowing what to pitch ahead of time. And
Right.
so if there's any sort of loose ideology or loose goals or deliverables that have to be defined with the client, she's very uncomfortable with that. She needs to be operating in a box. And there's nothing wrong with that. But then you need to be in a position where you have a company that has just boxed deliverables. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, it has nothing to do with her talent. She is phenomenal and she's still a part of the organization. And I never would ever go away from her because she really is that fabulous. But because she does not have that consultative approach where it's okay, hold on, let me see the lay of the land and let me see where I can add value. She is no longer in that role with us, because that's primarily from a larger organization, larger business. They're not cookie cutter and they don't all need the same thing, right? It, you have to be agile, you have to be able to pivot. And that may mean that you don't know exactly what it is that you're going to do for them right away, but you guys are going to figure it out together. And now, yes, you have to have your framework. And I even work better when I at least have some sort of a box to work within, but I can fill the box with anything I want.
Right.
Does that make sense? As long as
No,
it
it
gets,
does.
as long as it gets the job done. So I don't want you guys, and this goes across the board, when we're planning out our week, when we're planning out our meetings, one of the kills that will prevent somebody from being a good salesperson, whether you're the CEO or the SDR, is knowing what you're going to pitch ahead of time. Don't do it. Okay. Go to a meeting and see, and the real test is, how can I add value?
You know what, you make me think of a couple points. One being, I went into LinkedIn last week and I said, okay, who are the accountants at firms with 10 or more employees, right? And I'm thinking, I'm going to get accounting firms and I'm going to focus on accounting firms. Well, guess what? My list came up with 14 people here in Boise, and we can either yes or no get into the notion that I was focusing on Boise in particular, but 14 people, none of them at accounting firms, but all of them at firms where they could be potentially, a great conversation, maybe a prospect, maybe a referral partner. I don't know. And so I ran with it. The other part, directly addressing what you were saying earlier, I was interviewing a writer on Friday, for an article I'm writing. And I went in and I told him specifically, I'm not interviewing you. This is a conversation. I went in without a preset agenda.
Yep.
Right. So it's like, I wasn't like, I didn't have the box there. I wanted to see, what's this guy want to talk about? And, what's he going to reveal? And so that's kind of how I think I would approach. I don't know, because I haven't done these, assessments, but it seems to me you have your questions, but then you got to be willing to listen and not have a predetermined outcome.
So that's a really nice segue. So thank you, because it literally just it funnels right. I don't even pay him to do this, guys. It funnels nicely into how to have that conversation, how to set those conversations and the expectations of what people are going to get out of it. Remember, when we are, no matter what we're doing in any conversation, our first priority is to establish BANT, which is that budget, authority, need, timeline, and to establish, and the need piece is the assessment, or the need piece is why they need it, what they need, and what you can do to add value. So if, for example, you're going to go through an assessment with them, the first thing you do is you establish the need to even have the assessment while setting expectations of what you intend to accomplish and what your expectations are of them. And I think that that is also something that people struggle with. And you guys correct me if I'm wrong, because this may be a strong suit of yours and you can just be like, Alex, shut up, we do this already. That's fine. But what I have noticed with a lot of really good salespeople, even Duggan, who just closed an amazing deal on Friday. Good job, Duggan. He will sometimes have a hard time with setting the expectation of, I expect to get this from you by putting this in, right? It's always going to be a give take conversation. Whether it really is, I just anticipate having all of this information from you, and then I can come to you with my assessment of what you need. And that may be a technical conversation. It may be a business conversation, whatever it is, but then establishing those next steps. So can everybody on this call tell me that every single call, they set the stage prior to a call like that?
Are you saying, I'm kind of a little bit confused, Alex. Are you saying that we should have an agenda before we get on the call, or we shouldn't have an agenda of that? So you
Should
don't
have an agenda. Yeah, you should have an agenda, but you shouldn't be knowing what you're going to pitch. So there's a difference, right? It's almost like you've got a choose your own adventure book, but you know that there's the beginning, there's gonna be some choices, and it's gonna get you to the end, whatever that end is gonna be.
So
But
after having the
that's-
conversation, the discovery that, you go, okay, now that I've talked to you and I'm these are the boxes I am going to put you in, but I'm not coming in with a preconceived notion of where I'm going to put you. Is that my understanding?
correct.
Okay.
Right. So
Yeah, because
so
we do
even at
we
the
do a
beginning-
fair amount of assessments, and so that's a big part of what we do is having that conversation and asking those zillion questions so that we can figure out what's the next place. And sometimes, again, finding the other people, like maybe some of the people on the call here, who to partner with if it's not something that within our realm of what we want to do or can do. So yeah. So
Right.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, you got it. So basically when you're having those calls and you're having those conversations, my challenge to you at that point, especially for this week, as we're setting the goals and we're making sure that we're setting conversations, new conversations, and we're hunting for the right people to have those conversations with, it's setting the proper expectation and the tone of the call so that they understand, okay, this is what I'm going to get out of the call. This is my incentive. This is my expectation of what they are going to expect from me, and framing the call out right way. And Brian, I want to hear what you think about that, because I know you kind of come from that world.
Yeah, I think everything you're saying is terrific. And so basically, I'm summarizing what I'm thinking you're saying, which is, in the introductory call, which is we've been using lots of different words, but the first call, what you want to do is set expectations for the second call, which is I think what I'm hearing is, okay, on the second call, this is what we kind of want to go over. So on the first call, you're setting expectations. On the second call, you're kind of going over what you set up. Is that what you're kind of saying?
Yes and no.
Okay.
You're 100% right with your summary. I get nervous when people segment stages into calls, because I think it makes you feel like you have to fit into a very specific sequence of calls. And to me, you all are sophisticated enough to read the room and understand that it may be that call. So one thing, again, I'm going to go anecdote crazy today because apparently that's just the mood I'm in. So another perfect example, when I was on a call, I was looking for a platform where it was a little bit more sales focused than Go High Level, but a little bit less marketing focused than HubSpot, right? So I was looking for another platform where I can make good recommendations. So I'm on the phone looking for the best, because we ended up wanting to, let me see, we wanted to end up finding a good medium or median presentation for clients, so we can refer, right? So I get on the phone and I'm talking to an SDR. They are clearly programmed to say, great, let me get this information from you, and then I will schedule a call with my person, right? That's fine. It's the way of doing business. It is very, very normal right now to deal with those or to have those conversations. But I would urge, if we have an SDR team that's doing that, I would urge them to be empowered with some information so that they can answer some things as opposed to just funneling it to somebody's calendar, or having the conversation. If we as sales leaders or account managers or account executives are having those initial conversations, we're not the SDR, so we don't have to necessarily move it to another call. We can have that conversation in a consultative approach by just saying, hey, do you have a couple of minutes? Tell you what, do me a favor, go to this tab on your computer. I want to show you something. And that's a lot more organic than setting up a call for another call. If you don't have the information, okay, fine. Set up the next call. But you have to balance that and not sound so salesy, as opposed to them just going through the line of an SDR going to their account executive that has all the answers. Does that clarify why I kind of push back on it?
It does. I got a question for you in following that up, though. Okay, so I mean, I guess it's just like you said, ingrained in me because I used to be SDR, and so even when I'm cold calling now and I'm reaching out to folks, if I get them, and we're talking cold call, which is John Smith. I've never spoke to John Smith. I know what John Smith is, who he is, what he does, what I want to talk to him about, but I have never spoken to him. If I get John Smith on the phone, I guess just like you were saying, my in-ground training was not to take up John Smith on initial contact call because I'm interrupting his day, and he's like, "Who the hell is Brian Woody? Why are you calling me?" And no, I don't have any time for you. My calendar, like you would say, is booked. I don't have time for even 5 minutes for you. So my training I'm just saying instinct goes, can I set up a call for you? You know, I understand I've just interrupted your day. You've got a calendar full of things and Brian Woody isn't on it. You know,
yeah.
So can I set up a call where I can talk to you about some things? So that my first instinct, and I'm talking more in the SDR rep again, but also as a seasoned rep who's making his own calls. My first instinct is, hey, I really would like some time to go over blah, 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 and then move that conversation at that point. Is that not I mean, I heard what you're saying, try to discover maybe more in that first call, but does John Smith get a little irritated that his calendar, which is already booked, is now being taken up by Brian Woody, who he doesn't know and doesn't care about and wants to get off the phone?
Well, so again, and you make a really good point, but I'm gonna turn it back to you and say, like I said earlier, you guys are sophisticated salespeople where you are consultants, you are business leaders, you know how to read the room. I would urge you to be really honest with John Smith and say, hey, John Smith, I know you weren't expecting my call. This is Brian Woody, and I'll be really transparent. This is a sales call, but I think it's going to be worth your time. Do you have 5 minutes so I can just do a little discovery? And if it's worth your time, we'll schedule another call.
Okay.
That's a very different approach, right? So that's a different approach than necessarily, you know, if we're talking cold calls, do a cold call, right? There's nothing wrong with telling people that this is a sales call.
I see. Okay.
Okay. Or, I've done it both ways, and it depends what you're selling. It depends what you're talking about. One of the things that I have a lot of luck with, but I also am very aware that I'm female and this works for me. And so Pam, this would work for you and your entire team very well. I'm just letting you know. When you do a cold call and you say, hey, Mr. John Smith, I've been trying to get in touch with you. I represent XYZ, and I'm trying to understand who the best person would be to talk to about this. Can you help me? For some reason, any guy in corporate America loves to hear it. And I know I'm going to sound sexist, but man, it's made me a lot of money. So let's just go with that. So when you ask for help, and you are a female, guys can do it too. You can try it too, and it works. But I'm just saying, statistically speaking, people like to help us. I don't know what it is. Maybe we just seem like we're, we need it. I don't know. Maybe it's the hot mess coming across the phone. I don't care as long as they take the meeting. So if you
Never.
have that conversation, never. So
Yeah.
it's remember I said it was ethical manipulation. That's what we're doing, right? So we're ethically manipulating. Guys, it's a lot easier for guys to be like, listen, being totally transparent. This is a sales call. I know you weren't scheduled for this. Do you have 5 minutes so I can just get some basic information? If it's worth it, let's move it to the next part of the conversation and be done. A lot of guys will bro it out to that and be like, oh yeah, okay, I respect that. And for women, we can do that too if we can handle it, right? If you have the attitude where you just don't care and it's just it exudes that you're like, this is what it is, have a conversation with me, let's go, then they're fine. If you're not that person, and specifically for Pam's team, they're not that people. So that's why I'm saying it's a lot easier for a Sierra to come through and say, hey, I have this information. I'm really trying to get to the right person. Can you help me out? And of course, absolutely, let me point you in the right direction. Or, oh, you know what? I don't think we need that right now. And then she can get better as we coach, as we get on to where we could take that rebuttal and you could take that and say, oh, okay, if you don't need that right now, you're good on this, 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 and this. And then, oh crap, I guess we're not. Okay, cool. Can we have that conversation? Right. So it's a different way of handling the same type of cold call. And it's a different way of handling the same type of interaction, knowing that in today's society, I am not allowed to say anything that I just said. So I already know that. And luckily, I think this is a circle of trust and we're good. So just, this doesn't get out, okay? It's
Alex, let me follow up with you with an Alexism, which is a little pushback,
okay.
which is if you know who you're calling though, and I'm calling into, and I guess because again, where I am in my career, if I'm calling into an IT director, someone like that, and I'm asking them, can you help me talk to the right person? They're going to think, well, you're an idiot. You've already reached the you know what I mean? You're talking to me. You've done your research. You're talking to the IT director to ask me who you need to talk to. I'm just throwing the other side of the stone, which is
I haven't experienced any pushback like that ever. And it really is because sometimes the IT director isn't the guy that would talk about your network. Sometimes the IT director is really just, he was head of marketing 7 months ago, and then they're like, oh man, you should do some IT operations, and he may know what Linux is, right? Okay. So it's not completely out of the realm of possibility that he might not be the guy. So it's okay, and it might be that you can point him to the right direction. But this is all to say, I also said last week that when we're prospecting and when we're trying to get to the next phase and we are trying to open those cold calls, what we want to do is we want to actually start being a little bit more out there so that they start finding us, right?
That's what I would like. Yeah,
that's the top of fun. I know.
I would love to pivot to that.
We're getting to it. We're getting to it. So this is where the rubber meets the road, though. You have to understand how to have the conversation, because just because we're going to be loading top of funnel and we're going to be doing the things digitally and attraction wise that we have to do so that people are looking for you still have to hit the pavement. You still have to be making those calls. So when we're setting goals, it's not just about revenue, it's about metrics. It's about how many calls a week are you going to do, right? Based on proposals, meetings, going places, understanding things. So to me, if you're not hitting 75 calls a week, you're failing. And that's not me being a brat about it or trying to be too harsh on you. I'm just saying, if you don't have top of funnel, you got to build it, right?
I'm just laughing because that was such a generous number in most of my jobs. If you didn't have 75 calls a day, you were called.
Right. Well, and so here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. That's if you're an SDR or if you're an account manager and you don't have any other responsibilities. It took me a long time to figure out that my guys in an MSP, they can't do 75 calls a day. There's no way. They've been pulled into 3 quoting meetings. They're going back and forth between ops. They have to talk about your QBRs. They also have to pull what's being billed in ConnectWise to make sure it mapped out to what's in the quote. And then, oh, by the way, they need to see what's going on from the vendor relationship side because everybody's wearing 17 hats. So because of that, they can't do 75 a day. If they could, glory, hallelujah, we wouldn't be having this class and you guys would not be, making me as successful as we are. So let's figure out another way. So that other way, right? I mean, think about what you had to do just for those 3 leads last week, right? You had to realize, oh crap, we have a proposal out to this one. I haven't even talked to this guy. I got to go chase him down. What did we put in this proposal? Why did we put that there? Let me go cross-reference. And then what compliance does he have to meet? Hold, please. So that's just for 3 guys.
Right.
Okay. So when we're talking about top of funnel and understanding that we're going to do some digital stuff too, now's when you have to really be hitting it and making those calls. That being said, if you can do more than 75, yes, that's good. So what I wanted to talk about is setting each and every person inside of your organization as a personal brand. So has everybody on this call done that, where they are representing their organization and their name is associated with thought leadership in a public forum?
In what
Say
way,
that one more
Alex?
time, Alex? Are you saying,
in what
are
way?
we doing it or are people doing it?
Yes. Is everybody in your organization in some way sharing thought leadership that is more than just sharing posts or sharing articles that potentially you as the CEO are doing?
No.
No? Okay.
It's all
So-
coming from.
Not
like,
even
on
the
my behalf.
CEO is doing that.
I know. I did. Listen, I'm not throwing stones because I could be better at it too. All right. So here's what I would suggest. There are 3 things that we have to really do to focus on getting top of funnel activity. One of those is getting very, very, very aligned on the message on social media and the message on who speaks for the brand. Okay. So like Pam, perfect example. You are the name, you are the face, you are the voice, right? Everybody associates you with Triumph. Nobody knows how big your team is. And it looks a lot cooler when you've got people that are talking about Triumph and Pam and what it is that Triumph does to make the brand bigger than you. But you are still the voice and the face of the brand. So you need to have your brand out there.
So me, myself, you mean my
You
name?
yourself.
Okay.
Yep. So, and I'm not saying, and what they need to be doing on your team, and Brian, this is you too, right? What you need to be doing is making sure that you have a little bit of muscle behind what you say on social media. You're sharing thought leadership articles. You're sharing blogs. You are posting in groups. And it's not all about Kevin and Pam. Your team is not all about Pam. It's about, here's all the information I can share with you. And I got this because I'm affiliated with Triumph. Want to know more about Triumph? Oh man, you got to see Pam, right? So it's almost like 7 degrees or 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, where they're going to get to Pam eventually. They're going to get to Kevin eventually. They're going to get to Lewis eventually. But the more people that are talking about thought leadership and what people need to do and how to get ahead of things, and then we have we start having a common theme in the messaging, that's when we start noticing a little bit of a difference on top of funnel. And I'll show you how to do that in a little bit, but we really have to get aligned on the messaging. And Lewis, I bet I know what you're going to ask, but go ahead.
Yeah, you kind of alluded to it.
Yep.
I was going to throw the C word out there, content.
Mhm.
because I could see myself as a thought leader, but in sort of a figurehead capacity, because honestly, for me to thrive in that space, I need some really great content. Like, I need people feeding me stuff that I can then go out into the world and post it on LinkedIn and stand up in front of Kaseya Connect and rock the house, and nobody knows what hit them, and nobody needs to know the dirty little secret that I have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. But
so here's the deal. You do know what you're talking about, and you networked some networks, and you've done some things and seen some things. So I'm not going to let you be self-deprecating forever. However, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying you don't have time to be making blog articles, writing all of the content, putting things out there, which I don't expect you to. Not entirely. I do want you to do a little bit of it, but there's a lot of ways you can do that without taking more time away from yourself. And we can get into the hows and the whats and the who's and all of that later. But this is where your vendors are going to be your best friends. They already have the content. They already have, you already have Google alerts. You can already say, hey, these guys just got hacked because Google told me so, right? So all you have to do is share, these guys got hacked. It cost them $2.4 billion. Man, wouldn't it have been nice if they had some dark web scanning already in place, right? Or how about this for here, another anecdote, because that's the day it is. So I was speaking for Uber, and we ended up, I was asked to come in and speak to them specifically on messaging for their insider threat efforts. They had a whole insider threat department. Everybody was focused. If you see something, say something, all of that, right? Within a week of that speech, and the week that they had devoted to insider threat detection, response, and remediation, they got hit with an insider threat because it hadn't been put in place yet. And that's a perfect example of, well, we had thought leadership, we put it out there, they recognized the thought leadership, they asked us to speak on it, and they asked us for messaging, but they didn't enact in time, and they got hit. And so, and it was all over the news. So I don't even have to say this one company under, I can't say who it was. They all over the news. They got hit. So if you are putting content out there that's already readily available, and you're just putting a couple of words based on your opinion and your feedback and your expertise, as long as you put it in the right forums, in the right place, and you have a solid call to action, that's going to help. What I find is missing a lot is the call to action and a funnel. Okay. The funnel is where you have, and I've explained this before, and we will actually have, because Nick just got the first video recorded on the reports and creating that CEO dashboard. So that gets uploaded this week for you guys. But this one is more of a top of funnel lead capture. And so I'm going to speak at a very, very high level to this, because I think you guys already know, but it's theoretically, just to know isn't putting it in practice. And it can be very frustrating when you don't know the steps, right? So it's like, yeah, okay, everybody talks about a sales funnel. What the hell is a sales funnel, right? So essentially what we're looking at is a call to action where we want to give something. We want to provide value. So again, first part of this conversation where we're having a conversation with somebody that says, how can I provide value to you, right? We want to do that online in a way that we are sharing valuable content, whether it's an opinion, it's a statement, it's an article, it's something that your vendors created that you are repurposing or white labeling, or it's your own thoughts, right? There's a lot of different ways to do it. And there's a lot of different ways to repurpose it and put it different places, which is great right? You don't have to
Yep.
reinvent things. But what we need to do is we need to put some sort of a gate. And the reason why they call it a lead funnel is because little by little, and I think I've said this before, but little by little, we get more information and it weeds out the stuff we don't want. So the first thing is we've got an asset. Give me your first name and your email, right? They better really want that asset, because otherwise, why would they give you the first name and email, right? The next step is, hey, saw that you were looking at this, or maybe even you get their phone number, right? Hey, saw that you were looking at this. We have something else that you might want to take a look at. In order to get that, maybe you get their phone number and a little bit of information about them, right? The next step is, hey, why don't we book a call? Because it seems like you really want this thing. I don't anticipate that all 90 people that started at the top of this funnel are going to get to book a call, because
Right.
I'm giving them an incentive. And if they want the incentive, they're going to select to move on. I'm going to make it nice, right? I'm going to make sure that they are understanding that they're going to get something really cool out of it. And maybe it's that assessment from Pam, or maybe it's for you, Lewis, you're having them apply, like, maybe, dude, I don't know if you're ready for migration to the cloud. You've got a lot of stuff going on. I'm going to have to see if you qualify. Right.
Right.
Brian, for you, it's going to be very different, because it's like, listen, you have to hit these CMMC qualifications. So if you don't know what you don't know, why don't you give me your email? I'm not even going to ask for a phone call yet. Give me your email. I'll send you a checklist. See if you need this stuff. See if you fall into this, into this bucket. If you do, great. I'm going to send you an email and let's set up a call, right? Have them self-identify. But those are things that every single one of you now has a CRM where you can build that. And it's just a very easy funnel or an easy flow. It's literally setting up a landing page and a path and a trigger. And that trigger just sends them an email. Thanks so much. Here's the document that you requested, or here's the asset that you requested. Why don't we set up a call? If they don't do it, that's fine. We nurture them and then they set up a call. But it doesn't force us to be chasing people that aren't ready to hear from us yet. It's just putting it out online.
So Alex, taking the insider threat example
Sure.
that you just gave. So I'm going to be Captain Obvious here. That if I'm, presenting that insider threat content, I got to be able to address that problem for that end client, which brings me to my next point, which is a concern that I have about, a lot of this sales funnel talk, it makes sense. There's a method to it. And then I get to the point of the fulfillment of the promise. Oh boy. And that's where that's where I start to panic, in the delivery of, because some people are going to throw stuff at you, right? That you're wondering, oh, how am I going to do this? And it's like, okay, so you got to find the expert who can do that. But you also have to have a certain level of sophistication to know who that expert is going to be, right? Yep. And I guess, nobody's saying this stuff is easy, but I'm just, like I said, I'm doing the Captain Obvious thing here and, pointing out the elephant in the room.
So
Can I ask a question? Are you saying that you're concerned, Lewis, that if someone reaches out to you on something on this funnel, that you're not going to have the right, and it's something not that you're in your wheelhouse of things, that you're concerned that you won't have the partner to be able to work through it? Am I understanding that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, and well, that's why I think, great that we're starting here, this group here. And actually, again, I know I need to make an appointment with you. We need to get together. But I think we all have that concern. But I know I tell people, look, we can't be experts in everything. It's just too wide an area and there's too much. So, I mean, we all have to work with partners or consultants, and, no matter how big the company or how small we are, not everybody knows everything. So that's one of my things that I say. So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's some great feedback.
That this is what this is all about, right? And again, I love having you guys here as the first group, because as we bring more people in, it's already fostering a culture of helping each other, being activating, making sure that we're going after top of funnel, making sure that we're staying, adhering to the metrics and adhering to the next step. So please, whenever you have an insight, let's use the insight for sure. What I would say is, I think a lot of this is mindset, if I'm being honest.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's going to be a different conversation, because mindset, when you're talking about, there's two things at work, right? There's a little bit of the self-deprecating imposter syndrome, which you honestly are light years away from. You've had a successful business. I don't have to say enough good things about what you've already built. You just moved. That's geography.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I get where you're coming from, and believe me, it's a tough spot, but you'll get out of that part. I'm not concerned about that part. What I'm seeing is that you need to know what resources to call on. And I think in this group alone, we've got compliance experts, we've got CMMC experts, we've got people with knock, we've got people with resources. Just by being in this group, we already know anybody you would need to call, whether it's a vendor, an expert, or referral partner. Don't worry about that. You worry about getting the sale. We'll figure it out together as a group on how to implement. And yeah, at the end of the day, it's going to be you holding the bag. It's your business, right?
Sure.
But at the same time, no one's going to let you fail. Okay.
Well, all right then.
Okay.
I'm 75 calls behind today.
Yeah, well, get on it.
And I need that offer.
No,
I need that special offer. I mean, or that call to action is where, I'm still having the trouble with, because I'm getting, in fact, I just got a few just recently. It looks like a couple, on the road of more speaking engagements, which is great. I'm not sure whether, well, one is for sure paid. The other one, I'm not sure. And I need to ask you about how to work that possibly too, because they reached out to me from another talk and said, oh, can you speak to this group? And I'm like, okay, but it doesn't sound like it's for pay. So I don't know necessarily whether to turn it down or just say, no, we can do this for you. But I want to have a great offer if I'm going to do that, at no charge. So, yeah, so either separately or another day, but I knew that's a couple of them have come through just recently.
Yeah, I will very rarely at this point speak for free, but when I do, it is for good marketing. Because at that point, you gotta see what it's worth, right? And there's nothing wrong.
I've gotten spoiled now that I'm getting paid for it, so it's like,
I know, okay. Everybody wants to on stage.
It's a nice place to be. I'm just, but still want to continue to increase that and expand upon that with getting the business from it.
Right. So that's one of the things that I would start looking at, and this is why I said you owe me a meeting for the offer. So what we need to do is we need to establish that top of funnel. Let's circle it back, because I want to make sure in the last 15 minutes we're really focused on building that funnel and making sure that you guys are doing what you need to do online, so that you can get top of funnel. And if we need a little bit of help coming up with offerings and working through things, that's what we have office hours for, and it's also what we have scheduled meetings for, right? So we can talk through those independently, but in order for us to actually fill top of funnel and hit the metrics for your calls and your emails and your activity and all the things, we need to actually build this out the right way. So what I want you to do, and I will get this part emailed today, so you have it, because the same way as that 8-day touch strategy, the sales funnel has a specific trigger and a specific strategy, right? So as soon as somebody gives you something. So they give you an asset, or a lead, right? They give you proprietary information. They give you their email. They give you their name. They give you anything. You want to reward them, just like a dog. This is like, I mean, we're talking, Schrodinger cat and Pavlov's dog and whatever we're talking, right? You want to give them their treat. So their treat is the asset and an instant email. So what you want to do is you want to give them a download, and that trigger, which the trigger works in Odoo, HubSpot, and Go High Level. This works across the board. When they give you that information, you can give them an automatic download or asset, and it's going to trigger. You're going to create a workflow. That trigger is then going to automatically send an email that says, thank you so much. Here's a copy. Do you want to have a conversation? And we can see if this is worth it, or we can put you through this funnel, or some sort of incentive. It may just be a real-time webinar. That's actually one of the things that we do, where they give us a little bit of information. Now we're a little bit more sophisticated in our funnels right now, but when you're just starting out, it's a really simple trigger, right? Thank you very much. The next email happens, and that's when you start going through, okay, let's see if they give us a little something more. Do they want to have a conversation? Did they click on maybe scheduling a call, but they didn't really follow through? Are they doing something? If they do something, don't care what that something is, but if they do something after you've given them an asset, another trigger is going to start that 8-day touch strategy, because then ostensibly you have their phone number and you have their email. And that 8-day touch strategy is what we build off, where we do, and we talked about it last week, right? We've got the voicemail, the phone call, or the phone call, voicemail, and email. Then you've got the phone call, no voicemail, and an email. Then you've got a phone call, no voicemail, no email. Then you take a break for a second. Then you call back with a phone call, voicemail, email, and you do this for 8 days, right? You've got a flow. So you're not annoying them, but you are trying to get in touch with them. One other thing for top of funnel, just if that wasn't enough, actually, I have so much that I want to talk to you guys about top of funnel, that I just want to make sure that we have this piece done, and then I can go into further details on another. I may just do a recording so that you have an extra one this week, because I think I don't want to overwhelm. Is what I'm saying making sense for next steps? And can you take any more?
And so, Alex, just want to say, so when you started this conversation off, you said there were 3 things. The first thing you mentioned, now we've gone over in quite detail, is alignment on social media. There were 2 other things. Did you want to get that in today, or did you want to wait on another day for those other 2 items?
So that's what I'm getting at. I feel like I just threw a ton at you right now. And that one thing, because the first thing is, I've given you 2, right? The first thing is creating a brand of thought leaders or individual thought leaders inside of your brand and sharing good content. And the second is creating a sales funnel with that content that then triggers into your system. The third thing, it's not a big secret, but I just don't want to like jump into it with 6 more minutes, because I feel like I threw a lot at you. So I might stick with 2 things for now today, because that's a lot, right? Like I mean, what do you guys think?
Whatever you think.
Pam's thinking.
Um,
I see the
Yeah,
face. I see the face.
I think I need another day for it. Yeah, to kind of
Yeah,
delve into
I think so
that.
too. All right.
Yeah.
I think so too. I was just like, they're processing right now. I'm going to go easy. So
Yeah, I'm still thinking about some other stuff you said already. So I'm still chewing on the 75 calls a week and also a couple other things.
Oh, geez. All right. Recap email needed today. Got it. So we'll bullet point that. We'll send a recap email. We'll make sure that everybody's on the same page. I do want to make sure, I'm just actually had, oh, here, let me see if it's not letting me share this with you. I will send this, I'll have Rachel send this again in an email recap, but I also want you guys to have access. It's a very simple weekly time blocking sheet to print out, but I do want you guys to have access to it. I do think that it will be very helpful. So give me a second. I'm just going to share that with you if you want to go ahead and grab it. It was just an easy one that I found online. And I think you guys know what to do, but if we need to actually do like a workshop on it, you guys can do that too. Let me see if you have access to it. Make sure you guys can access. If not, I will share again. It looks like anyone with the link is an editor.
Yeah, I
Got
got
it?
it.
Okay. So take a look at that. I know it's just a blank sheet, but what I liked about this is you can block out your entire day. It's not just your work day. Starts at 5 a.m., goes all the way through the day, and you have enough for you time, for coffee, for working out, for whatever you need to do. And you can block those times so that you can check the email for the 15 minutes. You can do sales related activities. You can do your calls, right?
So this
Plus
is
all the
kind
other
of like Outlook, right? I mean, I'm looking at what Outlook
It's just
puts
like
in front of me.
it's just like Outlook. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to do a template for you in Outlook that's going to allow you to just copy and paste it. But for now, because nobody's actually been doing it and everybody's been getting things scheduled over, or Pam I'm just picking on you today. She's a serial offender. She blocks out 3 hours and then somebody will pull her away for 15 minutes and she'll never go back to the 3 hours because she's like, well, my day's screwed. And so she just
We're shooting for
goes
2
and
tomorrow.
Stop it. 1.5. Do not go past 1 hour and 20 minutes. This is middle school. Think like a 6th grader. All right. When that bell rings, you're off to the next thing. I don't care if you didn't finish your sales stuff. I don't care if you didn't finish your email. Come back to it. But we need to make sure that you are sticking to the block schedule. And once that's done, go to something else. Go to the next thing on the block. And that's what you have time allotted for. It will help you immensely.
So what do you do when people schedule meetings though, inside those blocks that are already, because you have to accommodate other people's schedules as well. When they say,
Sure, but it's
I want to meet you
absolutely
at 5, and you're like, you an idiot? No.
right. Don't even get me started. I've got Australians that keep on calling me. But it's a lot easier to schedule and reschedule and move an hour and 20 minutes up and down by 5 minutes or 10 minutes than it is to do a 3-hour block. That's what I'm saying, right? Of course you have to be flexible. Of course you have to be, relatively reasonable and be human, right? Like we're not what is it? Automatons. That's what it is. So we're not those. We're not going to have a bunch of people just scheduling things over our schedule. And if we are, then we need to have a conversation about boundaries, right? Which I'll have that conversation with somebody all day long. But you have to understand what has to be done in a day. And if you are not allowing yourself the time to breathe and get it done, that's why we went to the basics a week ago and had this conversation in the first place. 15 minutes here and there is fine. But, then you've got 45 minutes. Focus it. Make sense? All right, guys. I know this was a ton today. I know it was a really good weekly kickoff, and I know we covered a lot of ground. I will get this in a recap for you so that you guys aren't lost, and then we'll start sending some supporting documentation. Pam, please do me a favor and schedule a meeting with me.
Oh,
Even
absolutely. No,
Yes.
we're ready. We are ready.
Please stay on the call, Pam.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks,
All
Alex.
right, guys. Take it
I'll
easy.
stay,
Bye-bye.
Stacy.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Everybody except Pam, bye.
I'm special today.
Yes. You're special every day.
Oh, you're sweet.
Um,
I think we need to get rid of Steven's autopilot.
yeah, I don't
Just
know
knock
how
him
to
out.
do that.
You have to go in there and get rid of him.
Wait,
I can't-
do you
I don't
still
think
see him?
I can do it. Oh no, he's gone now.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
I didn't know whether I just unpinned him or if I unpinned him.
That I'm not sure about.
Is Stephen no longer here?
No, he's actually in California.
Oh.
So I don't, yeah, he's still with us.
He's too
Oh.
important to get on the call, so he just has the AI do it.
Yeah.
That's my guess. I don't know where he's got a standing meeting at this time, but here he's not at the meeting, so I don't know.
Yeah. We love his autopilot though.
All right, well, thank you all. See you later.
Bye.
See you guys
Bye.
again.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye, Louis.
Trying to
Well, I'm
pull
not going to be the first to leave.
No, Pam and I are staying.
Yeah, we're staying, so I can calendar meeting.
Got it. Okay.
You
Well,
have to hang up on us there, Louis.
So we're
All
kicking
right.
you out, Louis.
I guess I will.
Okay, bye. Alex didn't hang up either.
That's okay if Alex is on.
No, I get it. We're scheduling her, so it's
So
fine.
you might want to stop the recording though.
Can I do that?
Are you the host? She left you.
No,
She left you host. No.
I don't. Let's
That doesn't
see.
work. We won't say anything that's terrible.
No.
Talk about
Yeah.
everybody else now.
Yes, absolutely.